Deep learning requires a genuine emotional and cognitive investment, what the Canadian Education Association calls intellectual engagement. When students are intellectually engaged, they are excited about learning and excited about school. They are so absorbed in their work that they lose track of time. They are interested, they really care about the quality of their work, and they carry the ideas they are learning about into their lives outside of school. These are classrooms where students tune into learning because their learning is tuned into them. They are places that engage the hearts, hands, and minds of both teachers and students. Intellectual engagement is a powerful new idea that describes the kinds of learning we want for all students. But is it an idea that translates into practice? What does it take to increase the levels of student engagement across different grades and subjects in an entire school? Here's a story of how one school believes it can happen. In 2007, Sir Robert Borden Junior High School was one of 10 schools in the Halifax Regional School Board to join What Did You Do in School Today, a national research and development initiative of the Canadian Education Association. Through this initiative, CEA has partnered with 18 school districts, more than 150 middle and secondary schools, and over 63,000 students to explore the idea of student engagement as a core idea for improving teaching and learning in Canadian schools. What Did You Do in School Today is one of the few initiatives in Canada that focuses specifically on the experiences of adolescent students. It is the only initiative that focuses on the powerful concept of intellectual engagement. When they first joined, the school, with just under 300 students enrolled, had 608 office referrals, 123 suspensions, and an absent rate of 27%. Through students' responses to questions on the What Did You Do in School Today survey, staff also learned that less than half of the students were intellectually engaged. Only 38% were interested in and feeling successful in their classes. The other 62% found their work too hard, or too easy, or they had given up entirely because they did not know how to do their schoolwork and had stopped caring enough to try. Today, the school is a very different place. Low levels of student achievement and student engagement really became a call to action for the school. Teachers learned about and implemented innovative approaches to teaching. They invited students to speak up and make choices in their learning as they worked toward provincial learning outcomes, and they used new types of evidence about student learning to direct instruction and to help students become aware of their strengths as learners. Teachers really began to work together as a team and invited students to provide feedback on their experience of learning and to become partners in decision-making about school improvement. From the principal's perspective, the school was able to achieve what it did because of a relentless focus on student learning. With this focus as a foundation, they put 5 critical pieces together to see where they could take the school until staff, students, and parents really began to see and feel the change.
It was professional development of staff. It was a team approach, making connections, professional development that's relevant to teachers. And I think that's how it kept growing, that the teachers were engaged in their own learning. So as a result of that, they become reflective. Assessment evaluation, I don't think you can get intellectual engagement as deeply as we did without all of the PD.
I think in many ways what's happening at this school confirms a lot of what we know from both other schools, but also that has been documented through research. Teacher-professional collaboration really matters. Teachers are learners as well as students, so everything we know about learning needs to be taken into account if we want teachers to learn. Because the kinds of practices that this school has been exploring require new learning. You know, we all do what we know how to do. If we want to do something differently, we need to learn not about it, we need to learn to do it. And that is where I think the collaboration level in this school has been quite remarkable. Teachers have wrestled together, and I think that's the appropriate word. If it comes easy, it likely isn't new and isn't difficult.
In October 2009, the school was the first recipient of the CEA's Ken Spencer Award, which was created to recognize and publicize innovative work in schools that is sustainable and transferable to other teaching and learning contexts. In winning this award, Sir Robert Borden was recognized for their work in creating culture of authentic student leadership and involvement. At the school, student leadership roles are open to students in all classes and grades. What's most important is the commitment of staff and students to creating meaningful roles for student leaders. This team organizes and leads all school assemblies. They analyze and problem solve with data from the online student survey and play key roles in decision making at the school.
I don't think you'll get the intellectual engagement, the D piece, without the student voice. And that's the big part of it. We have to trust in kids, and they totally know the system. They know the ins and outs. They know where the holes are. They know what they need to do to get through. They're very smart that way. So if we want to get them more deeply engaged, it has to be relevant and meaningful for them.
As a result of the What Did You Do in School Today survey, I feel confident, proud, and I feel like my voice has been heard. With this survey, more and more students can be heard too. It takes courage and commitment, but with the help of students and teachers, anyone can make a difference.
It's a great nice word to go back and describe how it was different for them. And working with the student leadership team, I'd have to say it's the confidence they have in terms of using their voice and being part of a change agent.
What's been interesting in this school this year, and it culminates in the work that's going on at the end of the school year, is the extent to which the relationships between students and teachers are both respectful, but they're also friendly.
That's hard for teachers, especially newer teachers that have been used to this is the way I have to do it, this is what's comfortable, to step outside the comfort zone. There's a few teachers on staff that have kind of changed and run with it, where it was before about the teacher and now more about the student-centered, and that's what it should be. We're here to teach the students, we're not here for us. And so that's the biggest aspect, is that the students have that voice and the teachers help them get there. It has to be, I find, teachers that are willing to connect with the students on that level. If it's not, and most of us are the same way. If you aren't interested in something, you're not really going to pay attention all that much. But if it interests you and it's something that it catches you and you can relate to, you're going to be far more engaged in it than just doing it. So that's our biggest thing that we've had here.
What's been fascinating in watching this school is to see more clearly the complexity of modern classrooms. It's not just that kids are unique, they've always been unique. It's that our ideas of justice and full inclusion, for example, need a lot of work to make it a real and rich experience for every child, irrespective of what their limitations, disabilities, or their aspirations and expectations might be.
You can't do what you don't know. A lot of times teachers haven't experienced this and they don't have the knowledge of this, so professional development is without question the top thing, and it's not going in sit and gets. It's about having your staff have professional development around what is intellectual engagement. First of all, we struggled with that for over a year and a half. Just defining the term, what is intellectual engagement, that has to be a start. Because if you want to engage kids, you must engage teachers, and don't assume, I guess, that teachers should know this. Of course they shouldn't, because it wasn't taught to them like that. They weren't trained like that, and the conditions within the schools aren't like that. If I was to talk about the journey I've been on as a staff and a leader in focusing on intellectual engagement, I think people look for an answer or some kind of framework, and there is none. It's pieces put together, but it's always focused on student learnings.
The biggest thing for the What You Do in Schools and how it's made a difference in the overall school atmosphere is that it's an atmosphere of learning that was created through Darlene and through a staff kind of morale builder, where we're all on the same page of it's all about the students. It doesn't matter what the teachers think, it's how the students learn best.
The principal of this school actually really likes teenagers. There's no real substitute for that. I would say the principal is herself a learner, and of course in today's environment she spends a lot of attention into understanding the data of all kinds, analyzing it, working with students so they understand it, and with teachers.
Thinking outside the box is kind of what's been expected here now. We've gone from doing school to being involved in school. And that's the biggest difference for us, and we found here is we want the students to be here and want to learn because they want to learn, not necessarily just about they have to learn it because it's what's in the curriculum. So it's surrendering that control and giving it back to the student and saying, if you need to know, go for it. That's, you need to teach me, as opposed to that. And that's been a biggest thing too, is to help them get over that, well, you need to tell me what to do. Well, no, how about you tell me what works best for you, and you, and you, and you, and we'll work it all together as one big group.
So I guess the partnership came, and one of the big moves was when the student voice came with the teachers. But the teachers were seeing changes in the kids, but I guess the most powerful piece is the kids were seeing the changes in the teachers.
It's been a great journey. It's taken me from what I consider a mediocre teacher to a pretty good teacher because of the relating to the students. And that has to do with thinking outside the box and listening to the students. And that's huge for any teacher, is to give up some of that control to let the students have a say.
If I was to give somebody advice about intellectual engagement, it would be to be focused and consistent with it, be persistent. It was a rough school before in terms of environment and the conditions, behavior, conduct, that kind of thing has all changed. But the biggest thing they talk about now, and I'm smiling because as a principal that's my role at student learning, is they are talking about their learning.
The impact of What Did You Do in School Today on the school has been huge. It is a place where students feel welcome and respected. Issues related to student conduct have improved dramatically. Unexcused absences have fallen by nearly 50%. Student achievement results are improving in many areas. More than 56% of students now feel intellectually engaged in their math, language arts, and science classes. In the past 4 years, the number of students experiencing flow in their learning rose 16% to 54%. And the number of students who felt they didn't know and didn't care anymore about learning fell from 9 to 3%. And it has all happened as a genuine partnership between teachers and students. As one grade 9 student put it, we are changing our school.